Hello there. I'd like to do a video about the characteristics of cults, and I've talked about this before, and I've got some other stuff on YouTube which deals with this, but somehow it's just been really interesting me recently. Just maybe a couple of months ago, I came across some videos by ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and one led to another. You get suggestions on YouTube of what to watch next, and got some really great testimonies, and very encouraging to see that there are people who are putting out the truth about this organization. But then I'm also checking out some other different cults as well, some of them very, very big, some of them very popular, others which are much smaller and perhaps even more extreme. And the amazing thing is that they kept coming up with things that were the same. In each cult there are common characteristics, common features, the things that just kept coming up. Oh, you've got one guy controlling all the growth. Yeah, fine. He's living in luxury and they're sort of having to do all the hard work. Yeah, fine. Oh, child abuse, sex scandals. Really? Oh, how amazing. I've never heard that before. Same stuff. Different mask, different face, different name, different messiah figure, different controlling body, but the same things going on. And so that's just got me to thinking that I'd like to share one or two of these common features that that there seem to be there. I've also learned a lot from these videos. One thing I'd like to mention is the bite model. This is from a guy called Steve Hassan, and he's come up with this bite model of how people are mind controlled, basically, because what goes in a lot of these cults is that people get drawn in, and then they just get controlled. It's there's very high control going on in some way, and it's either, again, some messiah figure who's actually present that's doing this, or it's some organization in the background that's passing down the food or the information. But this tactic is used on how to make people do what you want them to do. Basically, this is what it is. And the BITE stands BITE stands for the things that are controlled in your life, and it stands for behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotion control, or emotional control. And this is the way that cults use to get people to do what they want them to do. Behavior control, there's usually legalism present there in some way or another. There's a rigid set of rules, some of which may be from the Bible or loosely based on the Bible. Now, of course, the Bible does set up moral standards. That Jesus taught that people should live moral lives, but the Bible also shows us the way to get into direct relationship with God and to receive the Holy Spirit, who's then going to give us a great deal of help and guidance in everyday life in how to actually do that. Cults, it's just sort of, you just have to do these list of things because we say so, or because the leader says so, and you're expected to perform, and if you don't, then there's usually some sort of repercussions. So the behavior is controlled. Information control, this is very important, of course. The group or the organization or the guys in the background have full control of all the information that you receive. At least this is theoretically the way. And of course, there's always a very good reason for it. Oh, don't read anything else. Don't research, things from any other publishers or any other authors or people who belong to any other movements, because you get confused and they'll lead you astray. So it's far better, just because it's rubbish anyway, and we're never going to lie to you. We'll always tell you the truth. And so do what we tell you and believe what we tell you, and don't take any notice of anybody who says anything else or produce any other sort of information, particularly people who have left our organization, because they're evil and they want to sin, they want to destroy us, so you don't want to have anything to do with any of them. Anybody, if people leave, then, they're rejected, and you have to stay away from them because they'll poison your mind. Okay, thought control. Well, of course, all the information that's coming in tells you how you have to think, how you've not got to think. You're only allowed the certain restricted information that is given to you. And the emotion control, well, they control you by means of manipulation and controlling you by means of fear, particularly fear, doubt, panic, usually telling you the end of the world is just about to happen. And so there's some apocalyptic thing there in the background. Quite often we're just expecting the end of the world very soon. You can't leave now because, where would you go? And if you leave, then, nobody else will be able to help you. Then your life will fall apart. Fear, sort of don't go to anyone else. Don't listen to anyone else because, you'll be confused. You'll be led astray. You'll go crazy. And so you're being controlled by means of fear. And of course, the horrendous thing is that this authority figure or messiah figure or leader is doing this in the name of God. And so there's always the thought that, well, I'm just telling you what God says. And so if you reject what I'm saying, then you're rejecting God, and God is going to be angry with you and he's going to get you. It's really evil. It's disgusting, particularly when in most cases the person doing this knows very well what they are doing. And just a mild example of this, I was in a church near to where I live at present, which is in Transdanubia, in Western Hungary. And I was in a church here which got very controlling. Now, it wasn't part of a denomination that I would say is a cult. It's if you read the statement of faith, it's perfectly evangelical and biblical. But what went on in this particular congregation was decidedly not kosher. And there was a new convert there, and he said that the person that had led him to the Lord, he really had led him to the Lord. I mean, this guy had really got saved because basically the gospel that they preached was fine. But then they just sort of wanted to control you and manipulate you and get you to do everything that they wanted in the same way that cults do. It's really weird. Legalistic, very heavy legalism. And he said, oh yes, so-and-so told me that God didn't like my hairstyle. And I thought, really? So the Bible says what sort of hairstyles God likes, does it? It just occurred to me, what he means is he doesn't like your hairstyle, and he's using the name of God to get your haircut so that you'll do what he wants. And that is exactly the way it was. Okay, other things that seem to be present in this sort of setup is that you get abuse in terms of money, power, and sex. I mean, these are well-known things. These are well-known things that are present in controlling groups. Basically, the controlling group wants to get your money out of you and into their pockets. And they use all kinds of things in order to do that. Oh, we're doing this, we're going to give to the poor, or we're building new churches, or, we for the work to be spread throughout the world, we need you to send all your money in. The favorite one that churches use as well, and I think it's disgusting, is tithing. It says in Malachi that if you don't tithe, then you're robbing God. So that means give me your money. Yeah, well, I could have a rant about that one as well. I think it's quite clear that tithing was part of the Mosaic law, part of the Mosaic covenant. Malachi was written to people under the Mosaic covenant, particularly to the priests, who were abusing the tithe, and therefore, seeing as the Mosaic covenant is obsolete and none of the apostles told any of their converts to tithe, then I don't think it's new covenant. That's my opinion, but I can back it up, but that's another subject. So they want to get your money out of you. If it isn't that, then it's some other way. So, of course, if you tithe, if you throw all your money at them and God doesn't bless you, then, of course, it's your fault because you don't have enough faith and you weren't really doing it with the right attitude. There's always an excuse. Listen, I've given money voluntarily from my heart, and God has thrown it back at me in abundance. I believe, give, and it will be given unto you. That is not a problem. I have no problem with that. I do that. I see it happen all the time. It's just when you're being manipulated to give your money to me because I'm God's representative and I can get really, really rich, and it doesn't matter how badly off you are. Okay, money, power. Well, of course, the power thing, people, megalomaniacs, people, have these crazy leaders who are just wanting to control people because they get their kicks out of that, and unfortunately people are willing to do it because they get their brains washed over it. Bad. And there's always a sex scandals, isn't there? But like I say, I was watching all these videos, and I'm trying to think who I was watching it. It's about, just let's list a few. The famous organizations: Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, LDS, of course, Mormons, plus of course the more extreme offshoots of these, which have polygamy and all the really like way out stuff. But then, you're talking about Scientology, Krishna followers have this as well, even certain branches, of course, of some offshoots of the Catholic Church. Also, of course, really way out stuff like Jim Jones, Jonestown, Charles Manson's family and everything. There's always some sort of sexual thing going on in the background, child abuse. I mean, just watching various different cults from various different controlling groups, and the number of times they mention child abuse, it's incredible. It's just, the leaders can get away with whatever they want, the rank and file cannot. However, I am not saying that all religions are the same and all religions are like this. Jesus did not teach people to do these things. People may use his name to manipulate others into getting their own way, but Jesus did not tell people to do that. He said to the disciples, didn't he, that the rulers of the world, lord it over people and control people. He said, you are not to do that, right? He said, if you want to be great in my kingdom, then you need to be a servant, and the one who wants to be the greatest has to be the servant of all. And he talks about, sort of, no greater love has no man than this, that he lays down his life for his friends. And the thing about Jesus, of course, is that he didn't tell anybody to do anything which he didn't do himself, did he? Jesus humbled himself all the way to dying on the cross. He didn't, shout about his authority and tell people how much authority he had and how they all had to stop doing this because he was the king. He was the king. Okay, he still is. He's king. He's risen from the dead. He's alive today. He's seated at God's right hand, and he is ruling. The best thing we can do is acknowledge that and become his disciples today. So I'm not saying everything's the same. What I'm saying is there are a lot of evil people out there using God or talking about God in such a way that they get their needs met, they get lots of money, they get lots of control, and they get to have their own way with loads of people because they're brainwashing them into thinking that, they are the great Messiah or something. There's a lot of evil stuff going on like that. But that is not true faith. That is not true biblical faith. And it is not just to say that all religions are the same. I very much deny that. Or at least I could say all religions possibly are the same. But Christianity is a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. It's fellowship with those who believe the same thing. And it's, being a disciple of Jesus Christ in the present world. Completely different. I'll make other videos explaining how it's completely different. But the time's going. But in the next clip, that's what I'd like to do is point out some specific examples of how these general characteristics are manifested in various different groups. Different groups, same things. Bye for now.